Welcome back everyone. I'm going to go over the details for the upcoming competition happening on April 2nd, 2024, which features the Joke Gift Parcel meta. Whenever they first leaked this competition, they told us it was going to be a stack box meta, and I think some people were worried because, in case you didn't know, stack box is quite possibly the hardest item to make in the game because of all the craft requirements and all the things you need to balance in order to even have a working build. Because if it's not balanced, you're not going to be selling the excess items fast enough, and you're going to run out of gasoline, or you're going to run out of storage. Something's going to go wrong, right? So it's a very challenging item to make. Now, we're not actually making stack box. We're making a different version of it. So in game, it is going to be called stack box, but the craft requirements for this competition for the stack box are completely different. The craft requirements are going to be 3 wooden box, 1 pasta sauce, 1 jet fuel, 2 jam, and 1 magic powder. Completely random items, but it makes for something pretty unique. That's going to be the meta, and I'm going to go over the details for this competition. And then I have a build showcase prepared to give you an idea on how to make this Joke Gift Parcel efficiently enough to, compete in this competition. As always, you can find the competition details in the Common Ground World Announcements channel in the Gala Games Discord, and you can find an invite link to the Gala Games Discord in the description of the video. So the event will begin on April 2nd, 2024 and end 3 days later. The meta is to sell stack box, and the standard trade time will be 20 seconds and 1 gasoline per trade. The biome we will be given is a forest biome facing the north with 3 oil seeps, which has never happened before. That's a lot of oil seeps. The edges will be a forest on the north, a forest on the east, forest on the south, and an ocean on the west. So you're only going to have 1 ocean on the west side. The 3 oil seeps are closer to the ocean side, and this is what the starter biome looks like. It provides us with a lot of ponds because it's a forest, but also a lot of livestock. We have sheep pens, milk barns, and a chicken coop. We have a setup to make feed at a feed mill, some troughs, and it looks like, I believe it was wheat fields that we were given. There's a lot of stuff here to get you started with making eggs, wool, and milk, although you're probably not going to be making those. So let's take a look at the cash boost. There's 3 things that are going to be cash boosted, starting with white rice. That's going to be boosted from 1700 cash per item to 5000 cash for each white rice, which is almost triple. Magic powder is going to go from 6500 to 20,000, and rice vinegar is going to go from 4730 to 13,000. These are good cash boosts, but typically not items that you make right at the start. These are items that you make later on in the build. And of course, the stack box will be boosted to 100,000 stars each. Normally it's around 80,000 stars, but yeah, keep in mind that it's going to be much easier to craft the stack box for this competition. So with that in mind, the cash boost, if you ask me what is the best thing to make for cash, most of the time I would say gold. Heck, probably you're better off doing gold, at least at the start. Now eventually, once you're working on your design, your final design, you are going to be making white rice, magic powder, and even rice vinegar. These are required in order to make this Joke Gift Parcel. So once you get to the point that you're making those, sure, you can get rid of your gold rush and just sell your white rice or rice vinegar if you're making that, and sell your magic powder. It'll give you a good amount of cash, but before you get to that point, you're going to need a good way to make cash anyways. So I would just go with a gold rush. With the starting biome that we are given here, you should have no issues getting that started very quickly, because you really don't need all this. You can sell all these sheep pens, milk barns, and chicken coop, and basically everything here that you're not going to use, sell it. It's going to give you a good amount of cash to start with. You could also sell 2 of the oil seeps, because you do not need all 3, not unless you have a lot of NFTs and you're planning to aim for a higher production rate. That's another story. But for no NFT or little NFT required design, you're only going to need 1 oil seep. Now you probably do want to have a design already in mind, so you know which oil seep that you are going to use. If you already know that there's going to be 2 oil seeps that you're not going to use, just go ahead and sell them, get the cash to start with. That's going to help you start up much sooner, get yourself more forges, make more gold, and eventually transition to your final build sooner once you have enough money to do so. That's my advice price for the cash rush right there. I already explained how to make the stack box, and I'll be going over how to make everything on the build showcase. So the rewards will be double the Gala rewards. The reason for this is because last week's competition, which featured the bicycle meta, was actually canceled due to some bugs, and they just ended up canceling that competition. They said that technically the competition is going to be delayed. That bicycle meta is going to happen another week, and I already have a video or a build showcase out for that. So once that competition comes around, I don't think I'm going to make a brand new build showcase. I'm just going to share that video again. So just keep that in mind. But double Gala rewards for this one sounds very good, actually. So I'm showing you right here the Townstar playbook. You can find a link to this in the description of the video. And on here, I have a page called competition list. And in this page, I have this table based off the chart that they provide us for the Gala rewards. So this is showing you double the Gala rewards for this competition and the USD equivalent of the Gala token prize that they are giving us for this competition. And it takes into account the current price of Gala as of recording this video, just to give you a better idea on what the value is for the prizes that you can get depending on your position of the leaderboard. To me, these look pretty good. The NFT that was released with this competition is called the Light Circus. It is a very powerful NFT, and the utility is as follows. You will place down this building on your town, and the surrounding tiles will have their shade completely removed. So this means the 8 tiles that are surrounding the Light Circus. This means that you could have, say, 8 windmills surrounding the Light Circus, and none of them would have shade, which means they could craft whatever they're crafting on a green craft timer, which is 30 seconds before any craft time reductions. This can save you a lot of space and greatly improve your production rates for these items such as flour, salt, sugar, and corn, which is used in a whole lot of metas. So very high utility NFT. The Light Circus doesn't require a road to be placed, and it doesn't have any negative proximity effects. It just eliminates the shade of the tiles next to it in a radius of 1. This NFT is based off another one called the Beacon of Light, which does the same thing, but it has a bigger radius and it was more expensive. This NFT is available now in the Gala Game Store. They're selling it for $500 each. Supply is 1,000, and there are still, as of recording this video, like over 600 available in the store. The supply is actually pretty huge, so I don't expect it to sell out anytime soon, at least. If you do plan on purchasing this, you can use the link in the description of the video, as it does help support me. And I think that there's a lot of people who would love to have this NFT, but obviously can't afford it. I'm gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna give away 1 Light Circus. Yes, you heard that right. It's not an April Fool's joke. I'm going to give away 1 Light Circus to 1 lucky person who comments in this video. Now, I'll talk more about that at the end of the video, so make sure you keep watching. Let's move on to the build showcase I prepared for the Joke Gift Parcel. Now, this build that I'm showing you here is pretty good. I do believe it's competitive enough to win a prize in the competition, but it is not that greatly optimized. As you can see, there's empty spots that I didn't use, and I'm also going to explain what I would do to further improve this build, because there are a good amount of improvements you can make here. Let's just get into it. The production rate is about 34 per hour. I would actually say 33 per hour. I'm going to explain why that is in just a moment. First, I'm going to scroll through the production monitor in case you're curious about looking at everything here. Starting off with wooden box, that's at 115 per hour, which is enough to potentially hit 38 stack box per hour. I'm just gonna call them stack box instead of Joke Gift Parcel. I think you get the point. And next, let's look at pasta sauce. So 42 pasta sauce per hour, that would be enough for 42 of these boxes per hour. Next is jet fuel. Jet fuel's at about 34 per hour. This means it's enough for 34 per hour, but jet fuel could be easily improved. If I wanted to get more jet fuel, I simply need to add 1 more refinery making petroleum, which can be easily done right here, and then you just move this logger house somewhere else. Boom, that's easy solution right there if I wanted to improve the jet fuel rates, and that is one of the things that is holding it down. Next is the jam. Jam is about 6 66 per hour. It's 2 jam per stack box, so that means I could potentially make up to 33 of these stack box per hour. That's why I think the rate is actually 33. I think I had some extra jam before I did this test, and I don't have enough time to redo the whole test. So yeah, let's just say 33 boxes per hour, right? Once again, you would need to improve the jam production rates if you wanted to go higher than 33 per hour, which can also be done. So the reason it's stuck at this rate is because I actually need one more strawberry field, because strawberries are being used for jam and for the magic powder, which I'll talk about next. And I think another bakery would be a good idea. As for where you'll make it exactly, I'm not exactly sure. The bakery making jam does need one passive water drum. That way you don't have to deal with crafting water drums manually. So you could do something over here where you have the bakery here and you just kind of move roads around. You could probably do something here. I'm gonna let you figure that out, but I would suggest adding a strawberry field and another bakery if you want to push the jam production rates higher and reach a higher rate of stack box. Last thing's magic powder, making 42 per hour. Same with pasta sauce. That means I could potentially make 42 boxes per hour. Magic powder, pasta sauce does not have any issue here. The main issues would be jet fuel and jam, which I just told you how to fix. Now, if you wanted to get a higher production rate for the wooden boxes, you would need to make a little bit more lumber, which it could very easily be done with some NFTs. But if you don't have any NFTs, you are going to need to either figure out a new setup for the lumber mill and the lumber yard, or just make a second lumber mill and make more wood production. Wood production is something you do have to balance, because if you have too many trees, you'll end up with too much wood at the lumber yard, and then you would have to sell wood or find a way to balance it better. I do recommend you auto sell wood just in case it does happen where the wood will jam up your lumber yard. So that's a lot of stuff I'm talking about, basically telling you how to improve it before I show you what everything's making. That's the build. Here's the rotation of it. I think it does well, and I'm going to show you what everything is making in order to get to the stack box production. Starting with the wooden box production, I have 10 loggers who are in charge of collecting wood from the tree farms, of which I have 15 tree farms, and taking it to the lumber mills. I have 7 lumber mills. One is crafting lumber and the other 6 are crafting wooden box. They will all accept wood from the loggers, so they don't have to go and pick it up from the lumber yard. The ones making the wooden box do have to pick up the lumber from the lumber yard, and of course the one making lumber just deposits the lumber at the lumber yard, of which I only have one of. And all of the lumber mills have passive energy that they need from the nearby power plants here, and the one making lumber also has a passive water drum that it needs. Wooden boxes get stored in a warehouse, of which I have one, but I highly recommend making a second warehouse. In case you didn't notice, I actually lost quite a couple of stack box and wooden box. This was because, first of all, I forgot to put wooden box on auto trade, but also because one warehouse won't be enough to house these 3 items. You're gonna want to have 2 warehouses because there's 3 different items going into them, and there is a chance that they can just jam up the warehouse completely. Now, I haven't done that. I left it at 1 warehouse and the production rate still works, but you're gonna lose items if you don't have a second warehouse. So that is very important to note, and something that I will include on the visualizer that I didn't build here. Moving on, next is pasta sauce. You're gonna need a lot of tractors in order to harvest all of the crops required for this. So I have 15 tractors. Maybe it's 1 or 2 too many, but if you don't have enough tractors, they're not gonna pick up the tomatoes, because I think tomatoes have the lowest priority. 15 tractors. I have 7 salt fields next to the ocean, so they have the fastest craft times. 8 sugarcane fields. 1 is being impacted by one shade from this building, but that's completely okay. I have 2 rice fields over here, and I have 2 tomato farms. The tomato farms do not care about shade, so you can have them closer to buildings. 3 silos. The brine is mostly being taken to this silo on the left side, and these 2 other silos mostly taken to sugarcane, but the items can kind of go all over the place and it'll still work. And then I have 1 mixing tent making white rice, kind of hidden. It does have the 1 passive energy it needs from this power plant. And I have 37 windmills in total. 11 are making salt, and those would be these right here. All the other 26 windmills are making sugar. I'm not going to go through each and every one of them, but they're all making sugar. Then I have 4 storehouses to store all of the sugar, salt, white rice, basically all the items I'm talking about here. And then I have 3 sauce facilities. One of them is making rice vinegar, and it does have the passive water that it needs from the pond, and it'll just go and pick up the white rice and the sugar cane. This one is making tomato paste. It'll quickly pick up the tomatoes from this one, and this one is making the pasta sauce. Next, I'll talk about jet fuel. I'm also going to talk about gasoline since it's basically the same setup. So I have 3 power plants, 4 refineries. This refinery is making gasoline because it has the 6 passive energy that it needs, and also the 2 passive water drums. These 2 are making petroleum, and this one over here is making the jet fuel, facing the fuel storage where all of the gasoline, jet fuel, and petroleum will go to. I also am using this oil seep right here. I got rid of the other 2 oil seeps. This oil seep's providing me with the passive crude oil required to make petroleum on both of these refineries, as well as these 2 power plants whenever I needed to make energy for all of the buildings that I was making, which was convenient. Now I have it rotated where these refineries making petroleum are facing the fuel storage. That way they make a little bit more petroleum. The refinery making gasoline is facing away from it. That way it slows down the gasoline production rate a little because I am producing too much gasoline. And I have this facing the fuel storage. That way they pick up petroleum quicker and make a little bit more jet fuel. But like I mentioned before, if you want to increase the jet fuel production rate, you are better off making a 3rd refinery making petroleum. So that explains both gasoline and jet fuel production rate. Next is jam, and this one's pretty easy to explain. So the only other thing I need to mention is the strawberry fields. I have 8 strawberry fields. These are like the tomato farms. They don't care about shade, so they're easy to deal with. And I have 5 bakeries. 3 of them are right here, and the other 2 are over here. They all have the passive water drums that they need, and they'll just go to the closest silo to collect all the strawberries they need. It's 10 trips. It's 10 strawberries. That's why it kind of takes a while to make all the jam that you need. But very important that you have a pantry, because the pantry is where the jam is stored. If all of your jam is getting thrown away, you probably don't have a pantry, so make sure you have one. And next is magic powder. So 2 pumpkin patches in order to collect the pumpkins that are required at the master wizard, the 1 master wizard I have, in order to make magic powder. I already explained the brine and the strawberries for that, so that's it for magic powder. Last thing is the stack box or the joke gift parcel. I just explained all the items, and they are made in the boxing facility right here. I have 2 boxing facilities. You could possibly get away with 1, but better safe than sorry. I just went ahead and made 2 of them, and that is everything. Trade depot is going to be right here, just the 1 trade depot, trade times 20 seconds, so we can handle it. I'll have plenty of gasoline to sell everything, and there is a builder house right here since I don't have a road connected to it. But as you can see, I have these empty spots. These were windmills that I didn't end up using, and these spots over here that I didn't end up using. But like I suggested, you could tweak this further and improve the production rate a pretty good amount. So that'll give you space to work with right there. Here's what auto trade looks like. You want to have gasoline, petroleum, and jet fuel on auto sell. It's very important that your fuel storage doesn't get jammed, and you always have space to make jet fuel. Of course, everything else on auto trade as well, with a quantity of either 10 or 12. I do recommend auto selling wood just in case the wood production rate is too high and it jams up your lumberyard. But what you really should do is balance your wood production rate so that doesn't happen. Otherwise, you're just going to be wasting too much gasoline or too much time selling wood, which is what you want to avoid. Here's what the build looks like on the visualizer. Total cost is 9 million. Wages are 19,340 per minute. You will have no issue paying the wages for this build, and 9 million to build this is actually one of the cheaper builds out there, so it shouldn't take you too too long to even make this complete build. Only thing I did add was the warehouse that I mentioned, because I do highly recommend that you have 2 warehouses. You can find the file for this visualizer on my Discord server, and an invite link to my Discord server is on the description of the video. I'm not using any NFTs that would impact the production rate for this design, so no NFTs are required. That's all for the build showcase, so I hope this was able to help you create or improve your current design. And don't worry, I haven't forgotten about the giveaway that I mentioned for the Light Circus, so here's how that's gonna work. All you have to do is leave a comment in the video, and the comment has to have the word April in it, you know, like the month. You can format your comment however you want, but it does have to have the word April somewhere in it. And you also have to like the video, you have to be subscribed, yes, that's required, and one random winner will be selected probably whenever I do the live stream for the end of the competition. And I'll also announce that winner on the Discord. I will use a comment picker tool in order to do that, and then the winner has to reach out to me. I'll ask for proof that they wrote that comment, and then I'll ask for the Gala chain address to send the Light Circus NFT to. It's a very valuable and efficient NFT to have. It'll greatly boost your production rate, and this gives anybody the opportunity to get one for free. And this is probably one of the biggest NFTs that I'm going to give away so far, and I do want to give back to the community more often whenever I can in different ways. And I have done this sometimes with events that I have hosted on my Discord. Make sure to join my Discord if you haven't, so you don't miss out on those events and other giveaways that I do on there that I don't mention on these videos. Like I said earlier, if you ever plan on purchasing anything from the Gala Game store, you can use that link in the description of the video. It really helps support me, and I can use those funds for giveaways and events that I do, you know, like this. So I greatly appreciate that. I thank you for all of your support, and I thank you for watching.